my worst experience that I had at basic training was the night that I shit myself. Um,
It's a great way to start a story.
Now, I only told one person this because it was that you do not want to be the guy that shit himself. Um, but but one day around lunchtime we had MREs, and a lot of the candy and stuff is just expired stuff that they give that like the military has taken and like put into these MREs because they can actually last a lot longer than the expiration date. But you are still taking a risk in eating expired food. So I've been used to it. We've been there for like a month. I've eaten plenty of MREs at this point, and so I'm eating one, and I have the peanut M&Ms, and they're far past expired. They do taste a little bit off, but I'm still eating them because it's my only source of candy. Um, it's my only source of like chocolate while we're out here, and so I
Wait, hold on. Pause. The M&Ms are expired?
Yeah.
How long do those have to sit around before they expire?
They were from 2020.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Okay,
the date was like
I had to know.
the date was like mid to late.
MREs are like they're made to last.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, all that stuff is
So
made to
it's
last.
just sitting there.
And so yeah, the MREs have an expiration date too of like, hey, you shouldn't be feeding people this after this date. And so, but they're all like right on the verge, because they're like the reject stuff, and they can just give them to us because we're definitely gonna eat them. And so I eat this pack of M&Ms, and they do taste a little bit off, but I'm still enjoying it because it's chocolate. And that night, I'm laying in bed, and like when you get those farts that you're not really sure if it's the right one or not, like, oh, this is gonna be if it's gonna be right. I got one, and it was not a good one. It was a very wet one. I failed my constitution check, and that thing comes out, and I'm like, oh no, because if you don't know, you have to man fire guard every night, and so there are 3 people awake while I'm in my bed with soiled pants. And so I'm laying there, and I'm like, shit, what do I do? So I get out of my bunk, and I like swiftly sneak all the way around the outside of all the bunks because there's 60 people in this room with me. I sneak around all the bunks, go in there, like clean myself up, do my business, and then go all the way back, and then grab a change of clothes, and then go all the way back, and then change, and then I go back to bed as if nothing happened.
Do you think anybody caught you?
No one caught me. I had to tell someone in order for someone to know. If someone had, dude, you don't even understand. If someone had caught me, everybody would have been talking about it the next day.
No, that's so terrible. You be this shit boy.
We already had one. That was the good thing, is someone did that when we were doing in-processing, and it was way worse. So, like, then we already had it. We already had a guy who shit his pants.
Oh, you don't want to be the second guy who
No,
shit
you're
his
not
pants.
getting. It's like, oh, now you're best friends or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, at that point, you might as well trauma bond. Like, hey, heard you shit your pants.
Me
Have any
too.
hobbies?
Hey, man, I really know what you're going through.
Wasn't the M&Ms?
Yeah, that'll get you.
That's crazy to think that the M&Ms would make you do that anyway. I mean, they're just M&Ms. I feel like it would be like a burrito or some meat or something.
It might not have been the M&Ms, but it definitely felt like them.
Oh, man.
So, but anyways, boys, I haven't thought about D&D for 3. Anyways, this is Table Talk Friday. My name is Seth Pittman. I'm joined by my 2 lovely friends, Andrew Romano and Zachary Carvon. How are you boys doing today?
Thanks, Seth, for asking me that very intriguing question there. I'm doing pretty good. Much happier now that my good boy Seth is back. There's all 3 of the boys together. Not quite in one room here, but all the same, it's good to be hearing everybody's voice all in one spot.
Yep, and please, everyone, forgive our audio quality in this episode. I'm sure you've heard, but we are all recording remotely today. As Drew, you caught the ick earlier this week, and Seth is on the other side of the country, so we're doing a little remote episode. But I'm just really excited that we're all talking and doing this together. The boys are back and better than ever, as far as I'm concerned.
And we're going to be able to play D&D sometime soon. That's going to be nice. I haven't DM'd in 3 months. It's felt crazy because whenever I was in Basic, so many people were asking me, like, hey, I heard you DM, like, do you want to run a game for us? And I was like, guys, I don't know if you know this, but we're actually at Basic training right now.
Oh, they just forgot real quick.
Like, I have maybe an hour of free time every night. I cannot run a game for you, as a matter of fact. But, when we get to our AIT, our training afterwards, maybe I'll consider it. And now that we're here, so many people have been asking me, and I have to get my books and dice and stuff, and then I will feel comfortable running something. But I definitely miss it, and I didn't know if I was going to have the time in order to make it still. I was scared while I was in training. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be able to be a part of my life. After this is crazy. Luckily, I believe that was just me being anxious, because I think I'm going to have plenty of time.
Good. I'm glad.
I'm glad to hear that we can all keep doing our thing. Although we do need a little thumbnail of Seth crying on this one, and then a short clip going, "The podcast is canceled. Never again. Last episode." And make sure we put a big red font on the front. I think we'll be good there. That'll get us a good click.
Yeah, and when I say plenty of time, I mean a couple hours to make things happen. But yeah, very excited to be here. I know little to nothing. I haven't listened to any of the episodes about things that happened in 1D&D. I went over a couple of YouTube videos of stuff going on in third-party news, but other than that, I have no clue. I don't know about anything.
Yeah, so I figured that we would take this episode just to catch up with all of the lovely people at home about what's been going on since basically the start of 2023 and everything in D&D. There's even a couple things that I think Drew and I only mentioned in passing, because ever since the OGL stuff sort of winded down and Wizards has been pushing eyes elsewhere, we've actually been getting a lot of exciting news, I'll say, over the past few months. And then, of course, the D&D movie came out, so that was huge as well.
While we're on the topic of the OGL stuff, did you hear what happened in trading card news a few weeks ago? See, I'm already back in the news. I bet you guys didn't even hear about this.
I have no idea what you're talking about, so probably
not. Are you guys aware of who the Pinkertons are?
Like in Red Dead Redemption,
I'm
the
talking
feds?
Exactly, Red Dead Redemption. So the Pinkertons are real. They're real people.
Are they?
And yeah. So they're a real organization, and they still exist to this day, albeit much less in their Western front and more of an underground mob type company. The Pinkertons are very real.
Oh.
And one of our lovely news providers, I'll say, one of our journalists, Moist Critical, put up a video a few weeks ago talking about how I think, I'm not fully caught up. It's been a little bit, but it was Wizards of the Coast who someone accidentally got one of their expansion boxes way too early. Whoever was manufacturing and shipping fucked it up, and they sent them a box way too early. And someone posted about this. He posted a review of hey, these are the new things. I got sent this by accident, obviously. So I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. Wizards of the Coast did not communicate with this person or send anything about. They just hired the Pinkertons to go to his place and get them.
What?
I'm sorry. They hired the mob to go and get the goods.
I'm not making this up. I promise. The Pinkertons showed up at this person's doorstep and took it.
They took his trading cards?
They took his trading cards.
Did he get a refund? Are they gonna send him another box?
I cannot confirm nor deny. All I know is the Pinkertons, the real ass Pinkertons, were there.
Hey, I heard you like trading cards. Now we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
I knew Drew would like that because you have played Red Dead Redemption, and I was like, those are the villains, right?
Yeah, I hate those guys. And now that I know that they're stealing my trading cards and trying to fight off my main protagonists, I don't like them even less.
Anyways, that happened.
That's insane. How do you contact the Pinkertons? Is it a government agency at this point, or do they underground? How does that work? Do we know?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, clearly Daddy Hasbro is connected.
Yeah, clearly Daddy Hasbro knows what's going on.
Exactly.
Daddy Hasbro is just mugging kids for their Pokemon cards.
Yeah, so that's crazy. It's a little wild to me that you wouldn't just contact the person and be like, hey, just take down your video and wait till the cards come out. But yeah, and they just sent the Pinkertons to go get it. Okay, back to what you guys were talking about. Stuff has been happening.
Yeah, so I think it was in March is probably the earliest drop that we got for for D&D stuff. So I believe that's when we got the 1 D&D Unearthed Arcana for Druids and Paladins. So that came out in March, and obviously we're not going to go through all the details of it on the podcast here, but I think in general, Drew and I, we've covered our thoughts on an episode already. But it's exciting stuff. I think there are a lot of people who are worried about Druids because they sort of the biggest change that they've made is rather than wild shaping using like monster stat blocks essentially for beast creatures, they've essentially picked up the Tasha's like beast companions.
Oh, okay.
And made a version of that you can wild shape into. And so,
and it scales
rather than, so it's land, sky, and sea, and then you can transform into those, and obviously you unlock the different forms as you level up and stuff. But on top of that, wild shaping no longer gives you like an extra hit point pool for that creature. Now it goes off of your actual hit points as a druid. So in general, druids are a lot more. They seem to be a lot less tanky than they used to be.
I don't hate that.
It's interesting. I right off the bat when I heard it, I was super against it because I feel like that's what the druids really have going for them. But they really did give them some other stuff to work with. I mean, you have the abilities later on now to swap back and forth a little more consistently, like stuff you would see in the D&D movie.
Yeah. I think it's 11th or 13th level. You can just use a bonus action to, while you're in your wild shape, you can change shape into a different type of creature or back into your regular form. And as long as like you do that within, I think it's like a minute that you have, you can keep swapping back without expending an additional use of your wild shape, which is pretty cool.
So now, as Zach was pointing out last time, we could be that druid monk and really just swap back and forth, be fighting people, which I think is pretty sick.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Or even, if you want to be like a spellcasty druid, you can shift into your animal form, and then, I need to cast Healing Word or any number of spells. You can transform back into your human shape and then go right back.
No, so I like that a lot.
That's really cool.
Oh, and Zach, don't forget that you were talking about spellcasting stuff with the druid. They now have that base. I can't remember exactly what it was called. It was like a divine. What do you call it?
Channel nature.
Yeah, channel nature is what it was. So now you have a little bit of innate magic there. It's kind of base kit. You have like automatic healing. It's sort of like a Wither and Bloom kind of a vibe, but I don't think it did damage. So it was like an AoE healing type of thing that you can use.
Yeah. So druids now, they basically have an analog to channel divinity. So for clerics, they get, I think it's 5 total that they've landed on channel divinity. And so paladins get the same, and druids all get the same. So that's why they're all being categorized as the priest group, is they all have this channel feature. So now when you wild shape, you're not using a use of your wild shape feature. You're using a use of channel nature, and then so you have some other features that you can use that for, like you can cast Find Familiar, or you can. Like Drew was saying, there's a healing option.
Well, what seems nice about it is it seems like you can do, I don't know, like even if you're playing like more of a castery druid or something like that, like you might actually find use for your wild shape. Because it seemed like before, like we were dealing with a whole lot of, you're either focusing on wild shaping or you're focusing on, being a caster. So I don't know, I feel like that makes it a little easier, especially with the swapping back and forth. You might actually, use the features more often.
Yeah, in general, it's super cool. So anyway, you should check it out. And then they ruined paladins, kind of, but not really. Really, the only thing that I really have to complain about is they made it so that you can't Divine Smite more than once per turn, and you can't cast a spell and Divine Smite on the same turn.
Okay.
Basically, if you want to use one of those Smite spells, you're using that instead of Divine Smite.
So you got to nerf.
Not in addition to. Yeah, and then additionally, you can't cast any other spells either, which I think is kind of dumb. I understand the need to rein back the amount of damage that paladins can do at higher levels a little bit, but
yeah, I'm a little indifferent on that because the nuke is like the paladin damage option,
Right. That's sort of like their identity in some ways is the paladin gets to do this huge burst of damage. But, I mean, they still have Divine Smite, and they've got some other stuff that's been remixed a little bit. Like they, now at 5th level, all paladins can cast Find Steed.
Oh, I forgot about that. That is really cool. I love the idea they leaned into that knight in shining armor sort of a vibe for the paladin.
Yeah, exactly. So Find Steed is on the divine spell list, so like clerics and shit can pick it up too now, but paladins can do it better,
cool.
Basically, and they get like an improved Find Steed as you reach higher levels. So instead of having Find Steed and then Find Greater or Steed, I think is what it's called, or Greater Find Steed. Anyway, now it's just one spell, and then if you upcast it, then you get the shit where like they fly and can do other stuff.
Okay.
So I'm all into that. As someone who hasn't played Paladin a whole lot, I think it's definitely a nerf to them. They did, what Zach didn't mention, is they did add the ability to have a ranged smite now, which is pretty cool. So you can actually use your, like a crossbow or something. Not that most Paladins would, but you could use a javelin or something of that sort. So that's pretty neat.
So you can shoot your explosive tip crossbow.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It seems pretty awesome, honestly. I hope they keep the ranged thing, and then they also specified that you can do it on an unarmed strike, which I think a lot of people were doing anyway, but now it's official.
I think being like a javelin throwing paladin sounds pretty cool. Like you're just throwing javelins constantly and like using them to explode.
Oh yeah,
that sounds cool. I like the flavor of it, so I'm a big fan. Yeah, I'll actually have to go back and and study everything, but. Seems like they're going in the right direction with it.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm at this point. You might as well wait until they release more stuff, because I imagine they'll do some revision. I think a lot of the recent 1D&D playtests have been more controversial than the original ones that we got.
Yeah,
I mean, especially just in light of the OGL stuff.
Well, yeah, and now we have competitors like coming into the market making their own things. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So Critical Role's been working on their own version of D&D, which I'm excited to hear about. But so they basically like dropped a little announcement like, hey, this is coming, but we're not like showing it yet. And then Project Black Flag, or I think they're calling it Tales of the Valiant now from Kobold Press. I've been looking at it, but it's it just feels kind of like Pathfinder to me when I was looking at it, and I was like, oh, so it's another one that's pretty much the same thing that's a little different.
Right, and we do already have Pathfinder for that.
Right, like
to your point.
If I'm gonna learn one, I'm probably gonna learn Pathfinder. I really need to like actually look through them all. I don't think I'm gonna have time to look through them all, but if I was to try something else, it'd probably be Pathfinder.
Well, we'll go through them, step by step. I do want to dig into them a little bit more. To your point, I don't know what kind of system they want to build. If it's how different can you really get from 5e or Pathfinder? You could swap your dice around, you could change some of the rules, but it's still pretty much a very similar system. So I don't know how different we're going to get unless they're completely scrapping it and building something from the ground up, which it doesn't sound like that's what.
They're still using the SRD. So there's still a lot of the same like terminology. Now I definitely want to see whatever Matt Mercer has to come up with. Like, I mean, I'm a big fan, so whatever they come up with, I'm like, okay, I'm down to clown with whatever you guys are coming up with. Yeah, it's just that when I was going through the Tales of the Valiant stuff, I was like, yes and no. Where I'm like, oh, this is great for the people who are going to play it, or for the people who are really into it, or just need to get away from Wizards of the Coast. But personally, right now, I am just happy to like be back in the scene. So you said recently, though, we got the big drop, right? Like of all kinds of different stuff from the Player's Handbook.
Yeah. So I think we'll tackle that last.
Okay.
Because I think I'm super excited about this most recent 1D&D UA. We're still partway through that, recording all the shit that was covered for that, even because it was so big. So
really?
Drew and I just did the martial classes. Yeah, and then we still have to cover spellcasters, which don't worry, guys, it's coming. But we really wanted to talk about it immediately as it dropped. But there was a lot of stuff.
See, now
there.
when I saw the episode was 2 hours long, I just assumed that you had gotten all the way through.
No.
No, yeah, I mean, we almost sort of went in that direction, but no, because I mean, so there's weapon mastery and a bunch of new shit for all of these classes, so it's a lot to cover, for sure. But anyway,
wherever they decide to cover this, I have no clue. I'm glad that they dropped, they dropped the paladins and they dropped the druids, they dropped clerics, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, were 2 or 3 separate things there. They were all divvied up. Why they decided to drop not only the martial classes but all of the mages in one go? When the
are all the spellcasters included in this?
Yep, it's sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. So, and we've already covered bards and clerics and druids. So, I think the only class that they haven't done, the only classes they haven't done are monk and artificer.
Man, okay. Well, now I have to read it because now that you've said this, that like my spellcasters are in there, I'm gonna be eating that up.
Well, now I want to get into it. So we'll come back to the other shit I wanted to talk about later. But yeah, it's disgusting. I think, in general, sorcerers and wizards are going to be really happy because they've become even more powerful. And the martials definitely feel more powerful too. I don't know if it's necessarily equivalent because these spellcasters are getting some awesome shit. But I think the only people who are really upset from this UA are the warlock players because they've been completely reworked.
And like, as in they don't have the warlock spell slots anymore?
Yeah, exactly. So they've changed pact magic so that it no longer exists. So warlocks are half casters now, meaning they get their 5th level spells at level 17, which it's tough. And so the way that they've rebalanced that is now Mystic Arcanum, however you say that, is it's an Eldritch Invocation that you can take starting at 5th level. And so they've done away with most of the Eldritch Invocations that just let you cast a spell.
That was my favorite. That's the reason I would subclass as a warlock or something. Or like I would multiclass.
Well, they still have the basic ones. So like whatever the one is that gives you free mage armor and like disguise self, those are the same. But the higher level spells are now wrapped into Mystic Arcanum. So essentially, starting at 5th level, you can take a 3rd level spell as a Mystic Arcanum Eldritch Invocation, and you get access to the whole arcane spell list. So in some ways, warlocks feel like they sort of have a lot more spell casting in here, but their actual spell slots scale like a paladin now, so they don't get their pact magic, and they don't get to break multiclassing with that anymore, which I know is sort of disappointing. I'm of two minds about it because I'm not the biggest warlock player anyway.
Yeah, you're going to end up with a lot more spell
But I can definitely
slots.
see why. Yeah. The other thing that they did, so obviously warlocks get their pact in 5e at 1st level because obviously they would. But the way that they've decided to frame it in 1D&D is since all classes get their subclass at 3rd level, warlocks are now getting that at 3rd level too. And so what they're getting at 1st level is their like pact feature. So their pact of the blade, pact of the tome, pact of the chain. They're getting that at 1st level. And then they don't actually get their patron until 3rd level.
So it's kind of like you're starting to deal with your patron at the early levels, and you're actually making the pact at 3rd. Like if I was to theme it as a character,
so
I'd be like, oh yeah, you're kind of dabbling in this magic right now, and then you're actually fully taking it later.
Yeah, the way that they've decided to like frame it in some of the videos I've seen talking about this is you either like maybe you've spoken with an emissary of your patron, right? Like, all right, you're a Pact of the Fiend warlock, but Asmodeus hasn't come down and granted you his powers yet. But, he sent a pit fiend or a horn devil, and like you're sort of chatting with them, and then they try you out, and then you get the full thing at 3rd level, or you've got a completely different patron for those first 2 levels.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've been talking with this powerful wizard, and he gave me this magic, and that has attracted the attention of this archfey. And then at 3rd level, they're like, hey, what if you want this power instead? So
I don't hate that.
I don't
theming
know.
wise, I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's just I feel like it's adding even more like at the table make it make sense-ness, where warlocks already had to do more of that than any other character.
Yeah.
I feel like because it's your relationship with your patron has to sort of be baked into your identity, or you just don't talk about it and you're like a variant sorcerer at that point. But yeah, I don't know. I could go either way on it, but people are really upset about that. The one other thing that I am really excited about, though, is, and I feel like they're probably going to change this, but they're playing around with warlocks not using charisma to cast anymore. So at first level, when you choose your Pact of the Blade, Tome, or Chain, each of those have 2 ability scores that you can choose to be your spellcasting ability. So for Pact of the Blade, you can use Charisma or Wisdom as your spellcasting ability. Pact of the Tome, I believe you can use Wisdom or Intelligence, and then Pact of the Chain is Wisdom or Intelligence or Charisma. So you could be a Wisdom or Intelligence-based Warlock too, which honestly I'm all for. I hope they keep that.
Yeah, my big thing is just like explain that to a new player.
Yeah. I mean, that's entirely fair.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. I'm like, oh, I'm all for like getting creative with my casting and everything. But if I sat down with someone and I was like, oh yeah, you're interested in Warlock because you wanna have a relationship with a fiend or something like that. Okay, cool. Well, would you rather go off your Wisdom, Intelligence, Charisma? Like, how are we feeling about that? Instead of just being like, okay, cool, so you're a Charisma caster. I mean, it's not.
Yeah,
it's
I
not
wouldn't
too
sit
much,
down
okay.
with a new player and say, all right, let's give you Warlock. Even in 5e, because it's the most confusing.
most new players don't know what that means anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been playing this game for years. The Warlock is still the only class I have not played to this day.
It's fun.
After reading through it, and I need to read through it a little bit more, to be frank, because I still find Warlocks to be rather confusing, and especially if we're talking about which type of stat we're going to use to cast at this point. I don't like the idea of restricting it. We've gone through this whole theme of opening things up and giving people more resources and options and choices here. So if that is the case, I don't like basing their casting ability off of which one you pick. You should be able to just pick one and then pick which stat you want to use. I don't like the idea of being forced into Intelligence if I choose to go, Pact of the Chain or another pact, I'd rather just get the option to pick.
That's entirely fair, and that's sort of where I want them to go with it too. Like, if I really want to be an intelligence-based warlock, you're going to tell me that I can't go Pact of the Blade. I feel like at that point, you might as well just make it so that you get to choose what your spellcasting ability is. The thing that this opens up, though, is they're probably doing away with the Hexblade Warlock as far as it's looking, because the Pact of the Blade now gives you the ability to attack using your spellcasting modifier with your pact weapon.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be cool.
So I can't be a super nuke paladin?
Yeah, no, not really. And they've also nerfed Hex so that it now works like most of these other features where it only applies to one attack per turn, where before you could do it on all of your attacks, which kind of sucks because they've also given you some additional invocations and stuff that enhance Hex later on, but it's okay. Warlocks seem amply powered at this point. I just think Warlock players are going to be missing the things that made them unique before.
Yeah, because they were like that one class that you're like, I'm not really sure what you can and can't do. Or like what I liked about the Warlock is the infinitely castable spells. So like, okay, I always have Detect Magic up. It's like I've got a constant like radar on. Or I always have I can use invisibility when I feel like it, right? Stuff like that. Always casting higher level spells. Like, okay, I only have 5 spell slots, but they're all 9th level.
They're all 9th level.
so yeah, thinking about that was always really nice with them. But I'm not disappointed in the change, because I do feel like it'll make people more likely to, okay, this is the kind of theme I was going for. Like, I want to have a relationship with a patron. I'm gonna go Warlock because now it's not as confusing.
Yeah, I think in general, they're on the right track. Probably, honestly, for me, I think it's a good move to do away with Pact Magic, because the way that interacted with multi-classing was kind of broken already. And then all I would change is make it so that Mystic Arcanum isn't an Eldritch Invocation, because realistically, so you have to take it multiple times in order to like get any of these spells. So if you want your 6th through 9th level spells, well, you can take it once for each spell level, and that's 4 of your Eldritch Invocations right there.
Right.
Eaten up just by your spells. So I would probably divorce Mystic Arcanum from Eldritch Invocations. Maybe give you like 1 or 2 fewer invocations total. I'd be fine with that, and then just make it so that you always get those spells rather than having to weigh, well, do I want Mage Armor, or do I want, whatever, Lance of Lethargy, Eldritch Blast, I don't know, Agonizing Blast, that's the one. Do I want that shit, or do I want, a 6th level spell?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to play test this one because I've heard so much about it and I'm still confused because I haven't played one before. I really haven't playtested much that we've talked about. The only one while you were gone, Seth, that I did playtest was the revised Goliath, which I think you might have been here for. I don't know how old that is at this point.
I don't remember.
I feel like we talked about it on the show where they're like elemental.
Yeah.
Based,
they're kind of like
right?
around the giants.
Yeah. So you could pick basically to be like a hill Goliath or a stone Goliath, and you get a different ability based on which one you pick. And they're all pretty good, actually. I think there was one that was maybe like a little less good than some of the others, but they were all relatively the same strength level. And to be honest, I had picked just the basic stone Goliath because I thought it was still a really good ability. It was like not the stone cunning, but the ability where they could reduce
Stone's endurance.
Yeah, that one. So you could reduce some damage. They just buffed it up a little bit. But I was that, and then I also play tested in that same game the Paladin, actually, which I hadn't played a Paladin in a while, probably since the Spelljammer Academy 1-2 off that we had done. So that was pretty cool. I actually liked the feel of the Paladin. I mean, I've only played them a very few little times here, but I liked the strength. It felt good. I didn't feel overly nerfed. I didn't feel like I couldn't go Nova, as people were saying. But no, it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it, but I definitely want to play test some more of this stuff to really get a feel for it, especially these martial classes that have come out recently. I need to get my hands right onto this weapon mastery system that they come out with. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, so what I'm noticing is it seems like Paladin is sort of being pushed more in the spellcastery direction versus the martial classes, because now that they've released this new Unearthed Arcana with weapon mastery, which, to explain that, Seth, basically every weapon in the player's handbook now has a special feature attached to it. So, like great swords now have cleave, where when you make an attack with it, if there's another creature within 5 feet, you can make an attack against them as well.
Okay.
With like a reduction to damage. But every weapon has this feature, and then you need to be a class that has access to weapon mastery to unlock them. So fighters and barbarians get access to the weapon mastery features for all the weapons as a part of their class. And then if you want to do it on any other character, you have to take the weapon mastery feat, and it gives you mastery for one weapon, which it's still super powerful because the way that it works, it's not like a proficiency bonus times per day thing. It's every time you make an attack with this weapon, the weapon mastery
it's like a
feature
permanent
goes
buff.
off. Yeah, so it's pretty powerful. But I hate that Rangers and Paladins aren't going to be getting that in their default kit. So every time,
did you say that barbarians and fighters have them all right away?
No, so I think it is at first level that they both get access to weapon mastery, but for barbarians, they can only do the weapon mastery for melee weapons, and I believe they get like 2 at first that they get to choose.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
okay, that's good. I was gonna say, like, if it's a feat to get 1, then they can't. I was like, they can't have them all. They can get like 1 or 2.
Yeah. So fighters get the most. I think they cap at 4, and then they've got additional features added where they can change the weapon mastery property features to use whatever weapon they want, basically.
Okay.
So you can say, oh, well, I really want the graze feature, which lets me deal damage even when I miss. I really want that on my longsword. And so you can do that at higher levels. And then you can also add 2 weapon mastery features to a single weapon and then choose which one to use when you get an attack, which is super awesome.
That graze feature sounds great.
But only fighters get to do this, which is disappointing.
Yeah, but that's the cool part, though, is those fighters, though. They're really leaning into the idea that they are the master of all weapons. They're proficient with everything. And it makes you feel very much so like a Doom guy in a Doom level, right? There's different sorts of enemies that you need certain weapons for. So on the fly as a fighter, now I'm thinking, okay, do I want my longsword with cleave? Oh no, they're at range now, so I need my longbow. But I have 2 different weapon mastery options on that thing. So which one do I want to use? It gives you a lot more of a tactical standpoint on fighter instead of just hitting things. Now you really have to think through things more, what abilities you're using here. And I think you even got, on top of the weapon masteries, you even got extra second winds, I believe, at this point. So you get more healing power as well. So they're just more everything.
It's like when you're playing like a JRPG and you have like the spells and like the skills trees, you know?
Yeah.
And you go to the skills section, you have like 4 skills to choose from when you attack an enemy instead of just attacking.
Yeah, basically.
I like that. The grace feature sounds cool.
I think I may be the most excited to playtest that one.
What I'll say is it's interesting that they've added all these features, though, because a lot of them feel like things the Battle Master could do with their maneuvers. So I'm curious if the Battle Master is going to be going away or not, just based on this, because like one of these weapon mastery features is push, and it's if you hit, they're pushed back 10 feet, and that happens every single time. And
I mean,
you're not expending a maneuver for that or anything.
I would love for them not to have to keep track of superiority dice. I mean, the superiority dice are like a cool function, but all the classes that have all these extra like little functions, you know, that go along with them, like superiority dice and all of that, was just like extra stuff to have at the table. Where I'm like, it would be nice if they played around with it a little differently.
And that's how I kind of feel about a couple of things going on right now. So we talked about the idea that warlocks are still a bit complicated, and the druids are still pretty revamped from what they were before, but I still find them a little confusing. I think there's a couple bits here that I definitely want some clarification on, maybe a second revision visit or something like that. I'm definitely looking forward to more news just to see exactly how everything works. Because they keep giving us tidbits, and especially with this last drop with all the mages and all the martial stuff. But I definitely want more feedback right now. And they've been doing a good job with dropping the feedback, and I've been enjoying the videos and the reviews. But I want some more stuff right now.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just, more than anything, I really want to start digging into some of the other subclasses because, you know, we've seen all of the flagship subclasses, right? And even Champion is, it kind of looks like a fun class to play at this point. So, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the others and what they're going to be adjusting. Because the one thing that I know you'll be excited about, Seth, is in this newest Unearthed Arcana, they've done away with the spell table where they had it that your spells you can prepare and your spell slots are the same.
Yeah.
So now it's sort of back to the old way of doing that, where you keep track of your prepared spells and your spell slots separately.
Thank goodness.
Cool.
I was waiting on that one
Yeah,
for the beginning.
That was something we talked about for a while, where I was like, okay, I understand it, but I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, so I'm hoping they go back and change how it was listed for all the other casters too. My one fear is maybe this is just specific to the mages, and all the others have the new shitty way of doing it, and maybe that's the case, but we'll see.
I doubt that's how they'll do it, because it seems like they want to streamline everything for all the classes, so I doubt they'd have you do it differently for like the bard than they would for the wizard.
The other weird thing that they did in this UA is for a lot of the spellcaster features, they've made them dedicated spells. So like wizard, now when you scribe a spell into your spell book, you have to cast the scribe spell in order to do that, and the spell itself describes how the whole thing works.
Yeah, I saw that you were able to do stuff like that, but I didn't like look into it yet because I was curious about it. And there was also the memorize spell.
Yes.
Yeah. So so at I think it's first level they get the ability to describe, and then at third level or maybe fifth level it's like a second or third level spell, but you can memorize a spell on the fly. So it's a ritual, and you can, during the adventuring day, if you're like, shit, I need fly and I didn't prepare it, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you need to do it quickly, you can spend a spell slot, and it still takes a minute to do. So you can't do it in combat, but there's that ability as well. I really think that that's a cool thing to add on to wizards, especially because for sorcerers, they made them so powerful in this
Yeah.
version too. So Wizards needed something extra to do.
So sorcerers can rage now, right?
Yeah, basically, I think it's a 4th level spell. But basically, when you cast it, you gain back a number of sorcery points, and then I believe you have like advantage on concentration, and all of your spells have advantage on attack rolls. And I'm pretty sure everyone has disadvantage on their saves against your spells.
Good. I mean, that's what I like to hear, because what I wanted was to be a god.
Yeah, you could pretty much do that as a sorcerer. I think they're better than they did in the 2014 Player's Handbook. They have carved out like a specific, this is sorcerer is magic incarnate. They make this shit their bitch. And wizard is, okay, yeah, they're not casting spells as powerfully as sorcerers, but they're doing the homework and making these spells their own. Because now you can even modify spells and then create them. So they've like codified a system in the game where you can cast the modify spell, and then if you want to, you can take that spell that you've modified and made your own, and then you can create a separate spell that you can keep in your spell book and call it Seth's stinky spell. And
that's like, just for wizard?
Yeah, and that's just for wizards.
Hell yeah. Okay, I like that a lot. So you're playing around with the spells, you're inventing your own things, basically. And then the sorcerer is like, you've just got the typical spells, but they're really good.
Yeah, 100%.
Perfect.
Well, and so the one thing that wizards can do that I think is maybe a little overpowered, we'll see.
Couldn't possibly be.
One of the ways that they can modify a spell is they can remove it's not the removing the concentration requirement for it, but it makes it so that you can't lose your concentration on the spell.
From damage.
Perfect.
From damage.
Yeah,
That's
from
nice.
being damaged. So you can willfully drop it, but
or you can get it dispelled.
Yeah, or cast a spell that also has concentration, but you can't be knocked out of it, which is super powerful, I think.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I think we should have all of the. I think everything's perfectly balanced. There's not a single problem with it, and
No.
It's exactly what we needed. Honestly, we were always kind of weak, Like, you hit the wizard 3 times, he goes down. Now that can't happen anymore.
Oh, it'll definitely still happen. What I will say, I don't want to dive too much deeper into the mages here, unless you guys are really feeling it, because we still have to cover like all the subclasses that go with them, and I feel like that's a whole another thing. But what I do like a whole lot is that with all the new classes from the cleric and up, the paladins and the druids and all the marshals and all that kind of stuff, something I have been a stickler about from the beginning was that I don't want some classes overlapping into others, right? I don't like when they get too construed, and we've only seen one subclass from each of these things. But what I'm seeing is that they're all very distinct. They are very clearly drawing lines between the wizards and the sorcerers and the warlocks and the barbarians and so forth, to where when you look at each one, you know exactly what it's about. Me and Zach had one issue with the barbarian where I feel like it kind of overstepped its bounds, where they were able to basically use their strength to make perception checks and stealth checks and intimidation checks, and it was like, what?
Yes, that is a thing that they can do. When it's only when they're raging, but I think it's at 7th level they can make it so that anytime they make it's like stealth, survival, intimidation, a couple other skills, you can use your strength instead of whatever else. And then slightly higher than that, like 9th or 11th level, it makes it so that anytime you roll lower than a 20 on a strength check, you roll a 20. So, I mean, it's not like a crit, but the total of the roll is, it cannot be lower than 20.
That's crazy.
Yeah, barbs are getting reliable talent earlier than rogues are, and they're getting it for a large number of skills.
I'm okay with them having a reliable talent for their strength. That's chill. But the stealth with your strength and the survival with your strength and
exactly.
That's weird.
Exactly.
That's super weird.
It doesn't feel right. I think the premise...
How are you hiding with your muscles? That doesn't make sense. What do you do? Knock down a tree? Oh, I knocked down a tree and hid behind it. Well, they saw the tree fall. They saw you hit it.
I think the way they're trying to justify it is like, when you rage, you're not just raging, you're like tapping into this primal force or whatever.
But that still wouldn't use your strength.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Maybe you get advantage. You know, I could see that. Like, okay, I'm tapping into my primal rage, and I'm getting advantage on those things. But, like, why would it use your strength?
Yeah, and I get the idea of this primal energy if you kind of relate it to just modern day life. It's definitely this adrenaline surge, right? I get that if you're, a soldier in the heat of battle, you're definitely going to be doing things better than someone else at this point because that adrenaline's flowing. Your body is forcing itself to do what it needs to do here. But in the heat of battle, when that's happening, it doesn't mean that you're a superhuman. You can do everything. You can become a rogue and a ranger. I get that maybe you have advantage. Maybe you can, maybe we could stretch the strength checks into like perception because you're very observant and you're tunnel vision to a certain combat they're in or something like that. But the stealth and like the survival, that was just strange. I'm not sure why they went into those.
Yeah, well, and you can tell the direction they were headed with it. Is they wanted barbarians to have more to do outside of combat, and so when they're raging now, there's no longer the stipulation that you have to hit someone or make an attack against a hostile or take damage or you lose your rage. Now you have to use your bonus action unless you make an attack against someone to maintain your rage each turn. So potentially you could. Finish combat. And I think rage lasts 10 minutes now. So you can finish combat and then have some skill check that you have to make. And so the barb can keep raging throughout the next exploration or social thing that they have to do.
Yeah, like he pulls out his dumbbell and starts curling it the whole time.
I mean, basically. And that's how you do your intimidation.
You're like, or he's got like a stress bunny that he squeezes.
Oh, I'm so mad. Just steamrolling out of his ears.
I love that, actually.
The only other thing on top of to keep the rage going was it was the attack roll. Zach was right. You can also use your bonus action, which is super cool. But you could also force someone to make a saving throw, which is pretty neat. And that also counts as keeping your rage up, which I thought was pretty neat, especially if you're. I mean, I don't know why you'd be multiclassing into some sort of magic class as a barbarian, but you could. You could do some sort of thing like that where you're maintaining your rage. If you could, of course, cast while you're raging. So there's a couple.
Which I don't think you can. But,
no, not right now.
Maybe there's a subclass that lets you do that though. That would be cool.
We haven't busted it yet, but once we get some more subclass information, we can do that. And it does stack up and synergize with the weapon mastery we're talking about because there are some options for weapon mastery, I believe, that made you make a saving throw before you were knocked prone or maybe before you were set flying backwards or something like that. So it's pretty neat. You can just use your weapons to keep your rage going, which I'm all into that.
Cool.
So that was fighters. We covered barbs. We covered druids, a little bit of paladin. Clerics are pretty much just a little bit stronger than they were before. They're a little harder to multi-class into. So it's no longer based off of your proficiency bonus as far as how many channel divinities you get. So it's cool if you're going to go straight through cleric like I am. So it doesn't affect me in the slightest bit. But if you were trying to dip into cleric, you're not going to get as much use out of them now. So that's kind of cool. Their channel divinities became a little bit stronger. They felt good. They have actually some more options for spell casting. You'll see a theme with some of the casters as we go through them that now built in they have either an extra spell prepared, something that's theirs, or they might even be able to cast a spell freely once per day of a certain level. So the paladins got that, which I think is great, especially since they're half casters. The cleric also had an option for that, which was super cool.
And I'm pretty sure warlocks get the same thing now as well, where like anything that gives you like a domain spell, you get a free cast of one of those, which is neat.
Which I'm all for. I like the idea of being able to cast something for free once a day without burning your stuff, especially if you're a paladin or half caster now, like a warlock, I suppose. Where you have limited spells, or you want to use them in your smites, or maybe maybe they're infused into your evocation somehow at this point. I'm not sure, but I like the idea that you have a little more flexibility with your resources there, and you're more likely to use them, not just sit on them and make them go to waste at this point. So that's pretty cool. There's a good little flow with the casters now. I'm excited to hear about the monk, though. To be honest, I'm kind of just dying for the monk to come out at this point.
I had a thought about monks earlier because I don't know why I was thinking about it. But I was like, yeah, what if someone had a gun? how would the monk deflect missiles that? Because if he tried to like catch it, I mean, that would just hurt. Um,
Houdini did. He caught it in his teeth. He's good to go.
But I was like, well, what if you were like a dwarf, right? Or like maybe even a Goliath, and whenever they go to deflect missiles, there was some flavor to it where like they react to catch the bullet or the musket or like the shell or whatever it is, and they turn their hand to stone or like use an element to catch it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I was like that. I don't know. I had this image in my head of like a dwarf who just turned his hand to stone, or like a Goliath who was to do that and like catch a bullet. I was like, I want to do that.
Nah, you see, all I think of is the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, where Raditz catches the bullet that the farmer with the shotgun shoots at him.
Yeah. And he fires it back by flicking it or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that every time I think about deflect missiles, that's like the first thing I think of, because it works just like that. I'm sure he spent a key point to shoot it back at him.
Yeah, no, that's lit. No, because I was thinking about it, because with all the Spelljammer stuff, I was like, oh yeah, guns and stuff are in space, so that would be something we would deal with if someone was playing a monk or a character like that.
That is a thing too now. They're playing with it's not like assault rifles and laser guns yet, but they do have pistols and muskets in the player's handbook armory now.
That's exciting to me, because I'm a big fan of that theming where where those things are prevalent, maybe not like, fully developed or like, common, but, that maybe some really high up nobles do carry them, or some rogues that were able to steal them have them. I don't dislike that at all.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with it.
I am wondering what we're going to get as far as inclusion for some of the lore that we've gotten lately, like with all the Spelljammer stuff and all of that. Like, are they just going to rewrite that again, or are they going to include it? Because I've still got stories and stuff in my head that I want to tell with all of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure where they plan to go with all these different books and the settings and whatnot. I don't think they've really mentioned it too much. I know they're trying to make it so that D&D is basically just like a system, and all of these extra books are content. They mentioned that in a certain video, where you could use whatever content you want. But I don't know. I kind of want to see some more rules for it, or what they intend to see out of it. I don't know. I'd like to make sure that everything still works together.
What they need to do is, when they come out with the new player's handbook, their module just needs to be a giant Planescape-like anthology.
I mean, I think that's a good way to segue into some of the other shit we've been hearing about. So there was the other than this that just dropped, the Unearthed Arcana stuff. There was a D&D Direct, I think either end of March or early April, where they covered a lot of dumb shit, and then there was also some cool shit. So I don't know if you've heard, but everyone's talking about no one's talking about this, but there's a Minecraft Dungeons and Dragons official adventure mode that you can play through.
For real?
They got beholders and shit, and they're all official Minecraft mobs, and it's a real thing.
in Minecraft?
Yeah, in Minecraft.
Oh.
It's like DLC, and it's all Dungeons and Dragons. There's a whole adventure for you to run through. They've got like official Sword Coast locations that you go through. I believe they've got like Candle Keep and a bunch of other like iconic locations.
I'm gonna look up a video of this later. I hate how into it I am.
Well, yeah. So that's what they opened up with was Minecraft and D&D. I think in the Direct they also covered. I mean, there were some toys. There's a fucking owl bear. And like a life-sized mimic that you can get. But other than that, they did show off their virtual tabletop a little bit more. We're still waiting.
Now, I did hear that looks bad.
Yeah, I'm of a couple different minds about it, but they're saying that the intention is for it to be cross-platform. So I do like the accessibility of that. Because I know we've been talking about using Tailspire for a long time, but not all of us have like gaming PCs to make that work. So it'd be nice if, say, I can't run Tailspire. Well, I can fire it up on my PS5 and we can all still play together. Yeah, that's kind of the allure of something like Roll20 that we've been using for all this time, though, is like it doesn't take anything more than a library computer to run Roll20. Yeah. Exactly.
Like I could pull Roll20 up on my phone and still do a session the same way. So that's kind of the allure of why we've done that for so long. Like having a I don't hate the whole cross-platform idea, and like if it's serviceable, that's good. I haven't really heard anything about it, and I have not watched the trailer, so I don't know what it looks like exactly. I've just heard that it's like, okay, well, it's just another virtual tabletop.
Yeah, not super exciting, but I'm sure they talked about some other stuff, but that's left my brain at this point. But they wrapped it up with sort of like a roadmap for new stuff that's coming out in the next couple of years. So obviously they've got Big B Presents Something About Giants. I forget the title, but that book's looking pretty cool. They showed off some artwork from that. I imagine we'll get that barbarian subclass finally, and that's coming out soon. That's either in maybe the next month or maybe June. That'll be dropping.
Yeah, these books that are dropping before 1D&D, I'm just like, oh well. I'm excited to read like lore and stuff, and like get ideas from it. But if the game mechanics don't overlap with 1D&D, I'm like, well, does that make sense to study into? Unless we're always just playing 5e and not even doing 1D&D. But I want to try these 1D&D things out.
Yeah, and they keep talking about how this stuff's going to be cross. You can play the old 5e adventures
right.
with 1D&D, but I don't know how well it's going to work. I think probably like monster stat blocks that we get will probably be serviceable, and maybe like magic items if they've got any of those. But I'm not going to be worrying about...
I could run an old adventure with a new system. I'm not concerned about that.
Sure, yeah.
But, yeah, no, what I was more saying was just like, yeah, mostly for player characters. Like, if they give player character options, like a new subclass or something like that, I'm like, oh, I'm probably not even going to think about it, because it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I haven't thought a single time about the Lunar Sorcerer from Dragonlance.
Right.
It's like, okay, that's neat. But unless we're playing Dragonlance, I'm not even going to think about it,
right.
because at this point, we're just waiting for 1D&D to drop.
Exactly.
To your point.
Well, did you, Zach, did you hear about the subclass of the Lunar Sorcerer going on right now?
I mean, I've heard about it. I haven't looked into it too much. I know they've got their different moon phases, right? And then they get different spells based on what phase they're in.
Yeah, but it was more so about the deity. So the deity of the Lunar Sorcerer is actually called Good Old Gamer, and it actually grants the sorcerer extra content and abilities on patreon.com/TableTalk Friday. I'm not sure if they included that or not, but it's actually a little bit of a leak that I found online. So make sure you check that out when you get a second.
Drew, you catch me with these good old gamer shout-outs every time. I always think you're being serious with me.
Is this something that you've started doing?
Yeah.
I've been having so much fun with it. Since you left, I'm like, you know what? We're going to make this into a thing. And so every time I throw Zach off and I make him think that it's some sort of news he hasn't heard of or some extra content, and I just loop in Good Old Gamer. Thanks, Good Old Gamer, for all your support here on Patreon.
Perfect. I love it. No, that was a good shout out. But yeah, you can catch us on patreon.com/TableTalk Friday for all cool news, updates, and extra content that we post every single week. I'm pretty sure we still do.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yes,
we do still do that. So there's the giant book. There's the Book of Many Things, where apparently they're revising the deck of many things. So they're adding more cards, and then as the DM, you get to like pick which ones to use. So maybe they're trying to encourage people to actually use that thing rather than just pulling it out for shits and giggles and ruining the campaign.
I don't know if I'll be pushing that, but we'll see where it goes, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Wizards of the Coast, close your ears for this one. I don't really care about that book. But we'll forgive them though, because after that there is going to be Planescape at the end of this year, and
that's actually coming out.
Amazing.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, it's I believe it's just being called Planescape, but yeah, it's official and it's dropping in Q4 or Q3 of this year, so it's soon.
Perfect. Okay. I mean, I'm excited for some more setting stuff. We still have a campaign that has at least 12 to 15 sessions left that I have to finish on top of what I'm doing with the military right now, but maybe I'll get time to read it.
Yeah, we'll figure
exactly
that out, but it's exciting to see in any case. And I didn't even mention, but Keys from the Golden Vault came out as well recently. New anthology of heist adventures, and I did run the boys through one of those.
Okay.
So
it was great.
Yeah, it was super cool, but there was some light hinting to some Planescape stuff in there. So, I had to get into it because I'm a closet Planescape fan. I don't really know that much. I did a lot of, early on in my DM career, I was sort of captivated by the idea of, plane hopping and stuff. So I looked at a lot of the second edition Planescape stuff, but there hasn't been any support for it in 5e until now.
All I know is that whatever I run next for you guys is gonna be a space thing, whether it's long or a short space thing. I want to run a space thing still, and then other than that, I don't care what we do.
We'll jump into space.
Yeah.
We have to finish what we're doing right now. I'm beyond hyped to finish Avernus, and I'm so sad.
Yeah, we still have so much ground to cover in there that we won't be done until probably Q3, Q4 with that, depending on when we're able to all get together all the time. Because now scheduling is a lot more difficult than it used to be.
We'll make it work. We're gonna get everything going here. We just gotta figure out a good time and day for everybody, I suppose. At this point, I think we talked about doing Saturdays now, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be mad if while I'm doing all this training and stuff, because I don't have a normal schedule, there's going to be a lot going on. If someone wanted to run something, I still want to do my space adventure, but I would not be upset if someone else wanted to run something for a bit.
Yeah, and that's sort of where we've been looking up. No spoilers, but I have sort of had my eye on Out of the Abyss, maybe, since I know no one else has read much from that book.
Okay.
So maybe.
Don't tease me, Zach.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some Out of the Abyss. Though if we do, I will be changing shit because I know that's another one of those early 5e modules that sort of drags, as far as I've heard.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about it too. It's not something I've even looked into at all. I just know okay, demons and stuff.
Yeah, it's mostly, or I think maybe 100% in the Underdark. So there's that. But I could probably run a pretty compelling, if not condensed version of it. So been looking into
Your
that.
mic sounds weird as fuck.
Oh, it does?
Did you hear it like that, Drew? Does he sound weird to you?
Zach, say something kind of.
Okay,
sexy.
maybe never mind. Maybe it's just
It was probably just you. And all the people at home are getting my crisp audio box set up. So you guys sound weird, I'm sure, but for everyone at home, it's the Zach Crisp hour, I guess. That's what
the Zach Crisp hour.
That's probably what we'll call the podcast after this going forward.
Zach Crisp hour. Okay, I'm a fan. So I think with that, let's wrap up this episode of Table Talk Friday, where you can find us every single week talking about all the D&D news, catching up with one another, and now that I'm back, entertaining you once again. That's kind of my job here. So I haven't done this in so long. I gotta just take a pause for a second. Okay, guys, here we go.
You got this.
Hey, moment of silence. Salute the flag. Give me a second. Thank you for listening to this episode of Table Talk Friday, where I was joined by my two lovely friends, Andrew Romano and Zachary Carvon. You can find us every single week on Table Talk Friday, or at patreon.com/Table Talk Friday, and any of your podcast feeds where you should have already followed us, but if you haven't, you can go ahead and do so right now. You can also catch us on social media platforms. I'm not sure what we've been posting lately because I haven't been doing it, but we're probably still there, and you can just read through the old posts and the things that I put on Twitter. I haven't logged into that in quite some time, but it's such an anthology there of just shower thoughts I had about D&D. There's probably 1 or 2 likes on them, so go ahead and add another 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, and everyone loves Twitter right now, I'm sure.
Everybody loves Twitter right now. I haven't seen the dumpster fire that it's been, but I'm sure it's horrible. And with that, can I please have the man who caught the bullet take me out?
Ow! I got it. Ooh, I got it. No, don't worry about me, guys. I got it. Ooh. Ooh, boy. Ooh, I'm going to be feeling that. I might be feeling that for the rest of my life. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. Thank you so much for listening. Everyone, have a good night. Tell your loved ones you love them. Ooh.